Hey, y'all, what it is, Y'all already know it is the big bounce hog, bounce dog. Okay, poke through the dough. Here to talk to the box. Before I get my soliloquy, remember tough times don't last. Good people do. Don't off yourself. Call him in the fight line. Remember you matter. Peep game. 84s on West Wing. Y'all know I gotta throw Houston in there somewhere, man. We clutched up, we clutched out. You know what we're talking about. That boxing. But before we get into the main entree, the main dish, the main thing, gotta introduce the other host, man. Future Hall of Famer, future legend, Coach B. Salute to all our soldiers, aka Brody on the Hustle. Let them know how you feeling, man.
Hey, what it is, folks? Just like the Capo said, we clutched up, we clutched out. You know what we're here to talk about. You about to spend the next 30 minutes, maybe an hour, with your two favorite hosts that'll never leave you in the dark about any post. You know what I'm saying? And y'all know what follows up after that. Hey, if God put breath in your body, everything else is extra. Get up, do what you got to do, take care of you, take care of the fam. Don't let nobody take that away from you. God gave you that opportunity. Do what you got to do, full swing. Keep moving forward. Stay blessed. And with all that being said, Capo, go ahead and continue the show. Let them know how we flow.
Already. So, according to BoxingNews24.com, you know, boss be reading. I be doing a little reading. I encourage y'all to read. A lot of y'all don't be reading. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just come and watch these videos and be believing everything everybody say. I encourage you, and I'm going to post the link to these articles in the description. Please go in there and read it for yourself. Read and show yourself approved, like it said in the Bible. Turk, Mr. Buddy. Hold on, that was wrong. I'm sorry. Hold on now. All right, sat there and said, hey, he wants to make Dimitri Bivol versus Arthur Beterbiev 3, and it's supposed to be set for the fall. The fall meaning November, the fall meaning October. So, Coach, the question I have for you is there a need for a third fight? Right? We seen the first one, we seen the second one, right? Dimitri Bivol was the undisputed champion. He's now the unified champion. He did not fight David Benavidez. So now you're doing a disservice to Arthur Beterbiev because now you're fighting for a unified championship. So do you feel like this fight is needed at this point in time? Let me know something.
I'm going to be quite frank, straight to the point, and honest. I believe we touched on this before. Pause, no freaky is in full effect at this point. You know, me and Capo, we like to stay ahead of the curve or right on the curve. That way we ain't missing a beat when it comes to talk about certain things. And we had already put this out in the atmosphere that this Bivol and Beterbiev fight should stop and cease to exist right where it's at. Because I feel like, as I mentioned before, this would be like a repeating decimal. For those that don't know math and need a little help with math, when I say repeating decimal, that means it's going to be a number followed by 0.33333333333. It's going to be a repeating decimal. I see this continuation of this Bivol and Beterbiev as like Bivol going to win one. Beterbiev gonna win one. Bivol gonna win one. Beterbiev gonna win one. It's never really gonna be a clear-cut and concise victor in this fight because I feel like each time they go against each other, somebody's gonna have the slight advantage from the last fight because they learned a little more, or the next person is gonna have the slight advantage because they learned a little more and did a little more, or they did a little less. You know, I feel like this is just gonna be a never-ending story but between these two. So before we get into this crash course of we need fight 4, we need fight 5, because we all know it ain't too many fighters in the sport of boxing that didn't fight more than 4 times against each other, unless you want to date back into the Olympics, amateurs and whatnot. But at the same time, with all that being said, this needs to cease. Fire does not need to exist. We don't need a Bivol 3. It is what it is. They tied up. They 1-1. Bivol got the best of Beterbiev in the second fight. He did what he had to do. He got the belts, and he's the champion. Nothing. I'm not taking anything away from Beterbiev, but I don't think this is something that we need to see over and over and over and over. No. Now, for Turkey Al-Sheikh, like I said, I hate to keep picking up the same stick and beating on the same dead horse, but at the same time, the only reason why he keeps wanting to revisit this fight, because I feel like this is his most profitable fight that he has put together since he has started promoting himself in the sport of boxing. Now, nothing wrong with that. We'll keep trying to go and get you, a little money, a little ROI, return on investment, for what you do for the sport of boxing, which is the only thing you do is throw money at the sport of boxing. You haven't done anything else. Sorry, I got to mention that every time. But with that being said, it's like, come on, bro. Just move forward. Let it go. Find another way. Reinvent the wheel, put together another card and see what you come up with. But as of right now, I feel like he's only trying to revisit this fight because thus far, and everything he's put out is probably his most profitable card and fight that he has put together since he has started calling himself a promoter in the sport of boxing. I'm going to leave that just like that.
Nobody want to see this fight again, just to be frank. I only but Turk. Like Coach pointed out, there's only so many times you can fight somebody. These dudes know each other. They know what they're going to do. It's not like Bivol going to start, being slick in there. Bivol is what he is. He's a world-class boxer. He got the pigeon on bounce. The only thing he could do is throw more punches, right? And then Arthur Beterbiev going to look to land more power shots. That's pretty much it. It's going to be a pretty technical fight, right? That's just what we're going to see. It's going to be the same thing as 1 and 2. It's just maybe they switch out the judges and the judges look and say, oh, Beterbiev won this time. So what, you going to make them fight 4 times? I get it if it was like Pacquiao, Marquez, or, Cotto, and what was that dude name that had the plaster in his hands? I forgot his name. I get if it was something like that. Something that it was entertaining to the point where you like, man, these dudes giving it their all. They going to war. Like, we just saw Eubank versus Ben. Now, granted, I don't want to see that fight again, but if they both was at the same weight class and they were putting on fights like that, yes, that's warranted of a rematch. But this Beterbiev Bivol, I was good with just one fight. You know what I mean? Once I saw what I need to see, I was like, okay. It wasn't that entertaining to me. You know what I mean? It was just like they were sparring. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a very high, and I'm not gonna demean these guys and say they're not good fighters. They're excellent world-class fighters. But their styles it doesn't cater to the fans' eye. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Yes, it caters to pure boxing heads, guys who love boxing, because we're able to identify certain things they're doing, right? Hey, Bivol, you saw him throw that triple jab right after, or you saw Bivol, as soon as his foot planted, he landed that 2, or you saw how Bivol set up that left hand. Like, yeah, we're able to scientifically break it down because we know what they're doing, just like in football. When you watch football, okay, hey, they're running the ball a lot. They're going to play action. They're going to go deep. It's right? So we know the strategic advantages they're trying to do. Pure boxing is, but it doesn't appear to the casual fan, right? And there's nothing different these guys can do. So I just think that this is a fight, and it's pointless because you had Bivol, who was the undisputed champion. Now he's a unified champion because he did fight David Benavidez. So now you got to go through this hoop of Arthur Beterbiev fighting Bivol for unification, unified championship. Let's say Bivol beats Arthur Beterbiev again, or vice versa. Now you got to go try to make a fight with David Benavidez. And what if he don't want to make a fight with y'all? He's not obligated to, right? Now, I know David Benavidez. I don't know him personally, but based off his character, he will fight them in a heartbeat. But I'm just sitting there saying, what if he don't want to? What if he played a politic game? And he said, man, y'all didn't want to fight me when I wanted to fight, so I'm not fighting y'all. So then what you gonna do? So it's just a lot of politicking, and the true reason why Bivol did not fight David Benavidez is because he got threatened by Turkey Al-Sheikh. Turkey Al-Sheikh is a mob boss. Him and his homeboys with them sheets, they roll up on you. Hey, my friend, you better do what he say. Boom, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying at the end of the day, hey, that was wrong, man. I'm sorry. All I'm saying at the end of the day, man, is like, look, we want the best fights, right? We got a good fight between Beterbiev and Bivol. Let's move on to the next. Let's see if Benavidez can beat Bivol. You know what I mean? And from what I'm hearing, I know sparring is sparring, but I hear Benavidez was putting them hands on Bivol and sparring. We may be able to see the same thing. We just saw a fight recently. I know they're in a smaller weight class where Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero went to war. And I won't say went to war. It was a domination. But Rolly can continue what he did in sparring in the ring. You know what I mean? So who knows how this situation will go. But, you know, we won't know if Turk, you know, not giving the fans what they want to see. But we're going to close the door, lock it, and we're going to move on to the next apartment. PBC is putting on a fight card July 19th. And headlining the card is going to be Manny PacMan Pacquiao versus Mario Barios at 147 pounds. Mario Barios is putting his WBC 147-pound championship on the line. Don't ask me how that happened. I don't know. The co-main event is supposed to be Sebastian Fondora versus Tim Tszyu. Gary Antoine Russell versus Andy Heroka. Andy Heroka is 24-0 with 19 KOs, so he got power. And Jose Ario Valenzuela is supposed to be fighting Isaac Cruz, but Isaac Cruz is also linked to Fierro. Also, Carlos Adames is supposed to be fighting in a unification, right? At 160 pounds versus Janibek. So Carlos Adames has, I believe, the WBC championship, and I think Janibek holds, if I'm not mistaken, the IBF and WBO at 160 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. So, Coach, how do you feel about this fight card? How do you feel about the main event? We're going to start with that. How do you feel about Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios? And then we're going to segue into each fight. Let me know something.
Generally speaking, I'm still baffled and confused and lost at the fact that how does Manny Pacquiao keep continuing to land himself in a position to where he can fight for a title? Ain't this man the governor or the senator of where he's from? And didn't he retire twice? Like, I'm not understanding. But I go on and on about that. But anyways, you know, let's put the fight into perspective. Let's move him into the ring where everything really matters and where it counts. Jesus Christ, that's just confusing to me. But anyways, like I said, let's go ahead and move it to the ring where everything counts, where the belt will be put on the line, where Barrios will be defending his title, where Manny Pacquiao has got himself in position yet again to, you know, possibly pick up another belt and be possibly one of the oldest fighters to hold a belt. But anyways, like I said, honestly, I give the complete edge and advantage to Mario Barrios. Why? Because he's been active. Why? Because he's a consistent fighter. He knows who he is as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? He understands truly and believes in who he is as a fighter, and he gets behind himself and goes in there and he makes sure that he somewhat gives the fan a show each time he steps in the ring. Now, sometimes he doesn't always deliver the best show, but he leaves the fans somewhat pleased. As far as Pacquiao, I think everything is against him. Father time, you know, inactivity. I think the size, the speed, all that. I think all that stuff is kind of, you know, moved past. He's definitely over the hill. I don't see him. He shouldn't be able to get in the ring and beat a Mario Barrios. And I'm gonna be short and dry with this one. I got Mario Barrios taking it. I don't see nobody get knocked out in this fight. I got Mario Barrios taking it 12 rounds UD, and that's that.
I think Mario Barrios will win by unanimous decision. Manny Pacquiao in his last exhibition against a kickboxer looked horrible. He hasn't been active. He hasn't been doing anything. Big butt running, trying to, I guess, run for senator or president, whatever he's trying to run for over there. I applaud him for that, but at the same time, I'm still trying to figure out how this man is fighting for a belt. Like I don't, I don't get it. Like what we doing? Like PPC, I don't understand it. And I get it if you just fighting like exhibition, but how is he fighting for a championship at 46 years old? And this is embarrassing for Mario Barios. If he let this old man come in and beat the brakes off of him, it's a wrap, bro. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, he's getting a career high payday fighting Manny Pacquiao because he's gonna probably get close to like 10 million, maybe 8. But it's like, brother, come on, my bro. If you lose to this old man, I'm telling you, it's a wrap. You might as well just you might in the ring say I'm done with boxing. If you let this 46-year-old man whoop you, bro, that's just what it is.
And Barios are skating on thin ice with his career as it is anyway. I don't understand. This is nothing to be played with, like you said. If you go in there and get beat by Manny, bro, go ahead, hang the gloves up, start your little boxing club, become a coach, trainer, whatever it is you need to do. But the ring ain't for you no more if you come in there and let an inactive senator, governor of the Philippines or wherever Manny Pacquiao from, no disrespect, beat you. You just hang it up, bro.
Big facts. We're gonna circle off to the next fight. Sebastian Fondora versus Tim Tszyu, number 2. The last time Sebastian Fondora won a close decision against Tim Tszyu, I want to believe that was in 2024. Since then, Sebastian Fondora just recently came back and fought Cordell Booker. Since then, Tim Tszyu got bang and toe tagged by that boy from Russia, Bakaram Murtazalev. I call him Murtazalev. But then Tim Tszyu came back, fought Joey Spencer, and got a 4th round knockout. He said he's back. He said he's ready to fight. He's ready to go. Coach, what you feel about this matchup? Let me know something.
In all honesty, again, another situation to where I'm kind of confused at what's going on here. But then again, I know there's a bigger picture, there's a bigger story at hand, and hopefully we can get some elaboration and a clear, concise picture on the situation. But hopefully it all comes to fruition. What I'm speaking about, I'll let Capo handle that situation. But at the same time, when it comes to Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fondora stepping into the ring with each other for a second time, Fondora again putting his title on the line. Hopefully he defends it well. But at the same time, if we go back to the first fight between these two, I clearly had Tim Tszyu winning every round easily until Fondora broke Tim Tszyu's nose. The blood, it was his nose, right?
Nah, he put that boy put a dent in his head. He put a elbow.
You're right. Fondora had the nose issue. Tim Tszyu had the forehead issue. Appreciate the correction. But Tim Tszyu started leaking from his head. So of course all that blood flowing down into the sight of the fighter kind of affected the fight plan and what was supposed to happen. But still, somehow, Tim Tszyu managed to break Fondora's nose or have him swelling and leaking at the nose. Whatever happened in that case, both of them, it was a bloodbath. It was a blood war, and they were going at it. They both made it to the end. You know, Fondora getting his hand raised in the end. But like I say, all BS aside, in that fight, I had Tim Tszyu washing Fondora those first few rounds before the gash in the forehead or the head region took place. And I believe if that fight would have continued and Tim Tszyu doesn't get hurt, I think Tim Tszyu was on the verge of actually knocking Fondora out, honestly, because Tim Tszyu didn't even have to, let the dust settle into the ring first few rounds. Fondora was giving Tim Tszyu every green light he needed to offer to put him down to sleep. He was about to take the Slim Reaper and put him down to sleep, period. So I think in the second fight, if Tim Tszyu can keep from being injured in any crazy type of way, keep his line of sight, keep from being cut open at the top of the head or whatever the case may be, again, I'm going to roll with Tim Tszyu in this fight, and I got Tim Tszyu. I don't know if he knocks him out this time because Tim Tszyu has been through some, difficult times in the last few years. Like Capo mentioned, he got body bagged and toe tagged by Murder and we all know each time you take a brutal knockout like that, it does something mentally, and it definitely damages you physically. And yes, Tim Tszyu has came back. He's won the fight with Spencer. Of course, everybody feels like they're back when they get in there with, a gatekeeper or kind of mid-level competition. No offense to Spencer, but at the same time, I feel like that was just a tune-up fight for Tszyu to get back in the ring and knock some of the ring rust off and be ready to go for Fondora. But again, I got Tim Tszyu winning this fight, hands down, unanimous decision. Fondora has to relinquish his belt, and Tim Tszyu is now crowned champion. And I'm gonna let Capo elaborate on what's supposed to happen next. The floor is yours, my boy.
Yeah, good matchup. I'm gonna be real with you. Tim Tszyu does not deserve a championship bout right now.
No.
He's coming off 2 losses. He fought George Spencer. He did win. I would have been cool with him coming back and fighting Keith Thurman, right? Because Keith Thurman is coming off of him being inactive and fighting. He beat the brakes off that Ken dog. That boy had all the muscles, and they ain't mean nothing that night. Well, Keith Thurman crushed that man. But I'd rather Tim Tszyu come back and fight a Keith Thurman just to kind of get like a little win streak, get a little run going. You know what I mean? Because you're coming from that background Murder loss. You fight George Spencer, who's like middle of the road guy. He's one of them guys like a gatekeeper. Like he gonna beat all the young dudes, but when he gets to that elite level, he can't beat the elite guys. He had 2 times. He fought Jesus Ramos and got destroyed. And then he fought Tim Tszyu and got destroyed. It's the same thing. So, I just think Tim Tszyu need a little bit more fights, man. I think putting him in there now may be too early. But I think what PBC is trying to do is they're trying to put Tim Tszyu or Sebastian Fondora in position to fight Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo is supposed to be coming back sometime this year. I think they're trying to put Jermell Charlo in position to where he can get all his belts back. Because he lost all his belts due to inactivity. He has some personal issues going on that I'm not going to speak of. But he had some situations arise that caused him to have to relinquish them belts. So now he's coming back to 154. They want to make the biggest fights happen. And they know they make the most money when Jermell Charlo is active. So I think that's the plot. That's the plot right there. If Tim Tszyu wins, I think Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo is a big fight. It's a story behind it. There's beef. There's animosity. They've been linked to each other for a while, and that gives them the opportunity to get this fight over the hill. Same thing with Fondora. So, as far as who wins this fight between Tim Tszyu, Sebastian Fondora, honestly, I don't know. Sebastian Fondora has looked fresher. Tim Tszyu, he's kind of been exposed. You know what I mean? Background Brothers Olive exposed him. You know what I mean? So I think if Sebastian Fondora stays long, he should win this fight easily. If he gets sucked in, to a brawl, I can see Tim Tszyu winning this fight by knockout. So it's all on Sebastian Fondora. He just got to be smart in there. But overall, don't understand why Tim Tszyu is in a title fight. Let's segue off to the next one. Gary Antoine Russell, them Russell brothers, is putting his WBA lightweight title on the line. He said, I want the smoke. He's fighting Andy Heroka. I've never heard of this man. But the man is 24-0 with 19 KOs. What you think about this fight? I mean, we don't really know too much about Andy Heroka, but he looked like he got some power because he got 19 KOs in 24 fights. So what you think, Coach? Who you got in that fight?
Again, just like Capo had already mentioned, I don't know too much of anything of this Andy character, but obviously he prevents a problem. He steps into the ring with power. We all know power is a disruptor. It's a fight changer. It's a oh my God, I've been warned that if I step in front of this guy and I'm not paying attention, I could be, at the house singing love songs to my wife, and not even remember what happened at the fight. So at the same time, he seems to bring something to the table with the power, but at the same time, the last time we seen Antoine Russell in the ring, he looked it flawless almost against, a guy who was supposed to be coming out of his shell, be coming into his own. Talking about El Rayo, Antoine Russell, in my opinion, straight washed him. El Rayo had no chance. He was confused. He didn't know what was coming at him. He didn't know whether to brawl. He didn't know whether to box. And it was just a complete one-sided show coming from Antoine Russell, and we all know that El Rayo seized the opportunity against Pitbull Cruz, So, and with all that being said, I'm rock with Antoine Russell because everybody knows if you know me when I was out there training, doing my thing, I incorporated a lot from Gary Russell Jr. and how he trained and his style of fighting because I felt like it suited who I am, who I was as a character and what I like to do, which is footwork, hand speed, move around and attack from angles. But at the same time, I like Antoine Russell right now. He's on a good wave. He's on an upward trend, and I just feel like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with now that they have the belt. Some people when they receive something that they feel like they've been working for and they finally get it into their grasp, it's just that much harder to deal with them. It's that much harder to take it from them. And now I feel like the Russell brothers have, somewhat rekindled that real flame because, Gary Russell Jr. was supposed to be the first one. And when he was in there, he still was doing his thing, I mean, his most notable fight was against Lomachenko, in which he lost which that is not a bad loss at all. If you're going to lose to somebody, I would say, hey, I lost to Lomachenko. That's cool with me. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Lomachenko knocked out Gary Russell Jr. But anyways, long story short, Gary Russell gets to continue to live vicariously through his brother Antoine Russell, and they also get to put it together as family, as brother, and they still can keep their father who's in heaven, rest in heaven, my brother. They can keep him involved as well and keep that dream and that legacy and that lineage of the Russell name alive. But again, I got Gary Antoine Russell Jr. winning this fight. I don't know if a knockout happens in this fight. It possibly could be a knockdown, but again, I got Gary Antoine Russell winning this fight by UD at the end of the fight, 12 rounds.
I agree. I think Antoine Russell is kind of coming into his own as a fighter. When you got these young fighters, they start figuring out who they are as a man and as a fighter. They basically master that style. And I think Gary Antoine Russell is a guy that has a unique style. And I feel like even with Gary Russell Jr., Big Bro, I think he's coming to his own as a coach as well. Mm-hmm. So I think that they're going to be able to cook up something nice. You know what I mean? I definitely see Gary Antoine Russell punishing this dude and giving this dude his first loss. So I got Gary Antoine Russell winning by unanimous decision. But I definitely think it's going to be one-sided. Like, it's going to be a no-brainer that Antoine Russell is leaps and bounds better than this guy. Let's segue off to the next one. Last but not least, you got Isaac Pitbull Cruz going against possibly El Ario or Fierro. So, Coach, the question to you is, can Isaac Pitbull Cruz beat El Ario if he fight him? Or if you was his manager, this question I have, this is a better one. Who would you prefer for him to fight? Now, he got dominated by Ario last time, but you remember Ario's coming off that punishment from Gary Antoine Russell, so we don't know if he's still the same. But who would you want Isaac Pitbull Cruz to fight? Let me know something.
Isaac Pitbull Cruz, a guy, who's been on the up and downward trend. He's been hot. He's not been hot. He's been hot. He's not been hot. But at the same time, if I'm Pitbull Cruz, both of these fights are rematches for him. And my excuse me, in my honest opinion, fighting El Rayo would I think would be the better beneficial route, because the simple fact of you get to go in there and go against the guy who just, as you mentioned, took a terrible loss. And taking those type of losses to where you can clearly see in the ring that El Rayo had, like I mentioned, he had no clue what to do with Antoine Russell. Now if I'm Pitbull Cruz, I get a chance to get back in the ring with a guy who's not really sure of himself. He doesn't know if he wants to be a boxer. He doesn't know if he wants to be a brawler. So with that being said, if I'm Pitbull Cruz, I can go ahead and attack him mentally and physically immediately from the first opening bell. Ding, ding, ding. Pitbull jumps on him. Don't let up. Crowd him in the corners. Beat him like he stole something from you. And I feel like Pitbull Cruz will beat El Rayo this time around simply because the damage mentally and physically he just took in his last match against Antoine Russell. Now, I will say this though, if I do get the Pitbull and Fierro fight, I'm not going to be disappointed, because in my opinion right now, that fight is definitely in the mix and in the run for fight of the year, because I ain't seen too many fights this year on a main card like that, or on a decent card like that, and where literally these boys went toe to toe, blow for blow. Both of them got dizzy in the same exchange of punches. One dog on there knocked each other out, and then backdoored, and then Pitbull came back and almost knocked Fierro out. Fierro bounced back, had Pitbull dazed, didn't know what he. So it was that fight was amazing to me. You know what I'm saying? If I want to see two Mexican warriors go at it, I wouldn't mind seeing Cruz and Fierro again. I like that fight. Now, what does that do for Pitbull Cruz? Nothing. It just puts him in another match to where he's going to take a lot of punishment. He's going to lose some lifespan in the sport of boxing, because everybody knows that's involved in the sport of boxing. When you get into a match like this and you brawl it out, you leaving a lot in the ring, regardless of what people think. I don't care if they bruised, battered, purple, blue, leaking or not. When you get into a brawl like this, it shortens your lifespan in the sport of boxing. So what does it do for us as fans? We get to see one of those fights where it's like, okay, it ain't no defense involved. They finna go toe to toe the whole fight, blow for blow, excuse me. Now with El Rayo, like I said, you get a chance to see Pitbull, kind of reinvent himself, get back on a high note, get back on a good foot, move forward, and feel comfortable with beating El Rayo. Now, I don't know how high it raises his, belief in himself if I'm Pitbull Cruz, because like I say, El Rayo just took an L from Antoine Russell, a bad L. So I don't know how high it puts him back on the pedestal, but it gets him in a motion of positivity versus, downward trend, upward trend. So either way, I'm good with it, but I would prefer to see Pitbull versus El Rayo. That way, both of them can get in there and feel that need to beat each other, and it'll be something that creates, fireworks. Because again, styles make fights, and I think if El Rayo comes out with that same style, Pitbull will be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more assertive, and I think he'll place his shots strategically to where we might see El Rayo get knocked out. But if we get El Rayo and Pitbull, I'm taking Pitbull. If we get Pitbull and Fierro, that's a toss up to me. I got a split decision, and at the end, I think Pitbull gets his hand raised against Fierro.
I think if he fights Fierro, it'll be more entertaining. Like you mentioned, I think that it also cater to the casual fan. Them two dudes gonna get in there and chunk them. No defense, like you said. He getting there with Ario, he gonna have to be strategic in there, right? So, me personally, I feel like Ario gonna box circles around him. But at the end of the day, it depends on Ario's mental aspect, right? Like you mentioned, he's coming off that loss to Antoine Russell. I just want to see what Isaac Pitbull Cruz been doing to make adjustments, right? Because Isaac Pitbull Cruz at 135 is a different fighter. Isaac Pitbull Cruz at 140 is a different fighter. At 135, he can bulldoze you. At 140, it's not the same. And I think Isaac Pitbull Cruz at 140 shows frustration because he can't bulldoze people. So if I'm picking who I would want to see him fight, it would be a rider. I gotta agree with that. But in my opinion, the more fan-friendly fight is Fierro. Let's go to the next topic. Last one, real quick, Coach. Carlos Alamos, WBC 160-pound champion, versus Zancaev. I don't know how to say his name. He a Russian. He's the unified champion at 160 pounds. He's putting his WBO and IBF belt on the line against Carlos Alamos' WBC belt. Real quick, real brief. Who you got and why?
My bad. My apologies. Did you say Zancaev or Janabek?
Zancaev.
Oh, Zancaev. Okay. Again, that's another fighter I'm not too, fond of. I'm not too familiar with, but I will, like I say, when I say that, I get off of here and I go do research. So the next time I step to y'all, I can come correct. But in my opinion, I like Carlos Alamos in this fight. He's in my opinion, he's one of the top fighters in his division. He gets in there, he delivers, he has a fan-friendly style as well. He can also, when he's in a good groove, he can also show you, he can box a little bit. He does understand his fundamentals. He does understand who he is as a fighter. Now, again, with Zancaev, I don't know too much about him, but at the same time, I think Carlos Alamos is on an upward trend. He's in a good groove. He's been active. He's one of the top competitors in his division. So me personally, I'm gonna say I'm a rock with Carlos Alamos just because I know who he is as a fighter and I know what he's gonna bring to the table. Again, this is another fighter who truly believes in himself and what he does when he steps in the ring. He doesn't fret. He doesn't shy away. If he sees an opportunity to seize the moment, he's going to take that opportunity and seize the moment. So again, no offense to Zancaev, but I think Carlos Alamos has the edge with everything I aforementioned. So I'm a rock with Carlos Alamos. Again, another 12-round fight. He gets the UD and gets his hand raised at the end of the fight.
This is a very interesting matchup. Zancaev got power. Very tricky guy. Alamos got power. This gonna be a firefight. I think this fight might steal the card, in my opinion. If I had to go with somebody, I'm gonna have to go with Zancaev. I think Zancaev, I've seen like 2 of his fights. He just systematically breaks guys down, and I think if he's able to get Carlos Alamos to fight his type of fight, he can win this fight by knockout. I think Carlos Alamos is a great talent, but he don't really move his head that well. And I feel like Zancaev will be able to capitalize by using the jab to set up other punch and slow the fight down and just break Alamos down. You know what I mean? But it's a great scrap. I wouldn't be shocked. I definitely see ways that Carlos Alamos can win this fight. But I just see Zancaev. Zancaev, man, once he get in that flow, he pretty much got you. So in my opinion, this fight should be the main event. I don't know why they got Manny Pacquiao with Barios as the main event. That's weird to me. But recently in the podcast, man, we talked y'all heads off for almost 40 minutes. Continue to support us. Continue to write comments. Continue to interact with us, man. We like interacting. Pause. We like ways for seeing what y'all got for us, man, to help us be better at this channel. We want to continue to grow this channel. I told y'all this is the genesis. This is the beginning. We're going to continue to evolve. We're going to continue to grow. And we're going to continue to stay on y'all throat. Y'all continue to like, comment, hey, and subscribe. We clutched up. We clutched out. You know what we talking about. I'm Boss. That's Coach. We out of here.
Salute.